I've been doxxed, I've been harassed by anti-gun activists, I've had hit pieces published about me in The Guardian and the LA Times. But being named in a federal lawsuit involving a gun manufacturer is a new one, and I'm not named for the reason that you might think. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be a long one with a lot of information, so first I want to thank Blackout Coffee Company for sponsoring this channel, the Second Amendment, and being the coffee I chose to fill my cup with on this journey through over 350 pages of legal documents. Blackout Coffee is roasted fresh to order down in sunny Florida, was founded on traditional values, and even has dedicated partner roasts that benefit some of your favorite gun rights groups directly. So to support your rights and this channel, go to blackoutcoffee.com/LibertyDoll, and if you are new here, you can use code LibertyDoll for a one-time 20% discount. I also want to thank Practical Shooting Insights for following all of this SIG litigation so closely and alerting me to the fact that my channel has been entered into the public record in federal court documents. Now, I know the automatic assumption and accusation here is going to be that my videos have helped the anti-gunners, and some people are just going to believe that no matter what I say. But I'm not named in the suit as evidence to the potential issues with the firearm itself, but instead as part of the argument that the public has the right to access the information going around in these lawsuits, especially when it comes to SIG's own alleged knowledge that their P320 did not pass safety standards. And even more, it might end up giving us access to a secret, previously undisclosed memo about that knowledge. This is, of course, in reference to the risk assessment document that I found posted to Reddit last month and included in my video, SIG's Troubles Get Worse, Bans Secret Documents. The only reason I even saw it was because it was one of the top posts that day with over 400 upvotes. Some people argued that I shouldn't have published that document because it could make SIG look bad. But here's the thing. SIG made themselves look bad. That showed that SIG already knew back in early February 2017, that the P320 failed the drop test. But they didn't offer the so-called voluntary upgrade that they claimed was never a real problem until August, after a lawsuit and a viral video showcasing the problem, and didn't even put in a patent application for that updated design until months after that. Their handling of this situation has been a masterclass in blaming, gaslighting, and attacking your customer base. And if there was any chance at all that they knew this was an issue, hid it, and I found out and did not tell you, then I'm just as bad as them. I want you to have the information so you can make your own educated decisions no matter what the issue. That is the entire purpose of my channel. And I'm not going to shy away from information I think you need just because it's going to make some people call me names or accuse me of being the bad guy. I don't care who you are or what company you run, if you are knowingly deceiving people in a way that could jeopardize their life or liberty, people deserve to know. Full stop. And to those who have accused me of releasing it only for imaginary YouTube dollars, sirs, may I remind you that there are much easier and more profitable ways for women to make money on the internet. Now, clearly, judging on how popular this topic has been and all the comments and messages I've been getting around this issue, people want this information. Most of them are concerned customers. I am a concerned customer. Why else are these records important? Well, because they show the problem may be bigger than the public knows. So let me back up and tell you what's happening and how we got here. Now, the way that this document came out is important to this update. The guy over at Practical Shooting Insights was perusing the SIG cases on Court Listener, which is a free public archive for legal cases, when he came across Sig Sauer v. Bagnell. In the suit, Sig is suing Jeffrey Bagnell, an attorney involved in other SIG litigation, for trademark infringement. One of his motions was to submit that document, the MHS Failure Modes, Effects, and Critical Analysis, or FMECA document, to the record. He submitted it with the redacted version available to the public. SIG filed an opposition, arguing that Bagnell violated a protective order. They said that that document was from another unrelated case, said that it gave false depictions of SIG, and was supposed to be confidential. Moreover, they said, it being added to the record would jeopardize national security because of SIG's military contracts. This trail led to yet another case with Bagnell involving claims of libel and violations of Connecticut's Unfair Trade Practices Act, wherein Bagnell is the plaintiff. The pertinent part here is on page 15, where it says that SIG failed to provide that document in discovery despite requests in multiple state and federal cases. Alleges that the FMECA proves SIG was aware there was a problem with the P320, tried to hide it for that reason, and then issued the patent for the voluntary upgrade months later to complete the cover-up. Now, those are some pretty hefty accusations. So, Practical Shooting Insights took a gander at said document, found that the redaction amounted to a separate layer on the spreadsheet, saw what appeared to be exactly what Bagnell claimed, and published the unredacted version. I found the Reddit post, read Practical Shooting Insights article and the data, and said, holy crap, people need to know about this. So I included it in my video. Before I even got that video out, SIG filed motions and affidavits to try and scrub this document from the record. They did this across 2 lawsuits, and in one tried to seal any testimony related to that document. In these motions, they included communication with the Army, asking the Army to weigh in and side with them for the sake of, again, national security. That was all at the end of July. Now, the case that I'm mentioned in is Glasscock v. SIG. The original case was filed by a Missouri law enforcement officer in 2022 as a class action lawsuit against SIG. It basically said that the 320 wasn't safe, had a higher rate of uncommanded and accidental discharges than comparable pistols, that SIG did not disclose that information to their customers, knowingly concealed that information, and sought damages for all SIG P320 owners in Missouri who, he said, might not have bought the pistol or might have paid less for it if they knew about these issues. A district judge granted certification for the lawsuit and cited that exact FMECA 9 times in the order granting cert. This meant that now all SIG P320 owners in Missouri could join the suit, including ones that no longer owned the version without the external safety. It also means that that risk assessment seems pretty damn important. SIG didn't like that too much and appealed it to the 8th Circuit. So now we're federal. A bunch of documents got thrown around in this new round of discovery, including documents in which SIG's CEO wrote in an email that no gun is drop safe, and documents showing basically that they knew how to fix the problem, but for whatever reason chose not to go with that design. They also submitted documents that proved SIG was aware of far more of these incidents than what has been made public. Their reasoning, well, out of all of these incidents reported to customer service, only one was from Missouri in the time period of the lawsuit, and so the district court had no business certifying the class action suit. Which is an interesting argument. Meanwhile, Phil Strader, the VP of Consumer Affairs for SIG, went on a podcast, was asked about the FMECA that Practical Shooting Insights published, saying that they have nothing to hide and that now that the document is out there, SIG doesn't mind. He even said on the podcast that the document was still posted on the Practical Shooting Insights websites. He told people where to find it and discuss the contents. He did, however, dodge the question on why SIG or the Army didn't want this out. But SIG still wanted everything sealed in these lawsuits, because it turns out that there is a second FMECA document. This one a memo that has never been mentioned in any public documents until now, and one that they are trying very hard to hide. So then, the Trace, of all organizations, jumped in as a media intervener to keep everything unsealed. Yes, unfortunately, the Trace. Will they use the information for evil? Yeah, most likely. It's the Trace. But that doesn't change the fact that gun owners deserve this transparency. SIG then agreed to file everything unsealed. Everything except that FMECA and all references to it, including this secret memo. The Trace wants that unsealed too. SIG has twice been granted extensions to reply to that request. They even tried to defer to the Army, saying the court needed the Army's opinion first in order to, again, protect military secrets. In a document that, by the military's own policies, is not classified and not to be kept from the public. Curious. The Trace argued that, especially as this document was cited so many times and the reason to give certification, that the public has the right to the knowledge. Just because I also say that the public has the right to that knowledge does not suddenly make me anti-gun. They also argue that everything around this FMECA should be left unsealed because at this point, it's already public knowledge. This is where Practical Shooting Insights and I come in, as we are pointed to as proof that the information is already in the public eye. The unredacted version is still available on his website. There's even a link to it in the court documents, a link that, again, SIG's own VP of Consumer Affairs pointed people to. Soon, says the documents, others on the internet picked up on the posting of the FMECA and began to repost it. For example, a YouTube content creator named Liberty Doll posted a video on the FMECA titled "SIG's Troubles Get Worse, Bans Secret Documents." And there I am, ladies and gentlemen. As can be seen, the video has been viewed more than 100,000 times. They even include a link so more people can go watch it. Then they mentioned Strader's interview on Behind the Lens, where he said they don't care if it's public, which is pretty contrary to what's happening in their court filings. The documents don't give account of how many people they think have seen this document, but they do say it's a minimum of 100,000 based on my view count. I don't know how many visitors Practical Shooting Insight got, but we know a minimum of an additional 400 people saw it on Reddit before I got to it, and however many more people heard about it from listening to SIG's own VP. And a quick Google search brings up other websites and other YouTube videos that spoke about it. For what it's worth, none of them list me as their source. The fact of the matter is, anyone following this case would have known about this document already because of Bagnell's fight to make it public and because the judge in the class action suit cited it, again, 9 times as the reason to give cert. People would have gone looking for it and asked questions eventually. I mean, they already were because Practical Shooting Insights did. The Trace has been following this for years and would have filed their motion to unseal without my video. Am I thrilled the Trace put me in their statement of facts? No. Do I still want gun owners to have that information and get to the bottom of this? Yes. And in most legal cases, a public right to the information is assumed, especially if it affects the outcome of a case, and sealing is only granted if the party asking for the seal has a compelling enough reason as to why that information should not be public knowledge. SIG says the information was confidential as their reason, but then did a terrible job of actually redacting it for something so confidential. Beyond that, previous case law states that once info is public, it remains public and cannot be sealed. I will say that I am very curious what's in this second document if SIG is working this hard to keep it hidden. And if it's enough to sink their ship, well, then they probably shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this video. If you made it this far, thanks for sticking around. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you are new here, ring the notification bell so that you will always be up to date. Drop a comment down below for the algorithm, and as always, thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there, guys, and happy shooting.